Hello everyone, this is Brad Flickinger with schooltechnology.org, and this is badges for elementary EdTech, and this is part 2. So I'm going to be getting into this to explain how to use badges at an elementary level, and if you tuned into my last post, you saw me kind of explain things that way. Well, a lot of things have changed since then, so let's get right into it. Alright, so at the elementary level, let's just talk about how it all begins. Okay, so if we have our student here, and they are going to get into the badge program. So there's a bunch of different ways that this might happen. Maybe it might be for some type of enrichment. So you've got students that are finished early, they're finished their other stuff, they're bugging the teacher, they want things to do, so you could do it for enrichment. There is the idea of before school or maybe even an after school program where kids want more things out of it. They want to get more tech skills, those type of things, so you could bring them into these programs. As well as in my school, I am the tech teacher, so there's the basic tech class of what to do with students in tech class. And what's great about having a badge program is that it is differentiated. All the badge programs should follow these steps here. So hold on a second, let me just turn a page. So badges should follow the flipped idea. And by that I mean that all your instruction should be recorded, or it should be in a step-by-step guide for the students so that they don't have to do everything just at one at a time with everyone else. Because let's say if you're doing something like video game design, so you've got your iPad here and you want to design a new little game for it, where things just fly across the screen or whatever. Well, if I was to teach video game design in a conventional classroom in my school, it would just be so slow because we can only go as fast as the slowest student. So I'd be like, okay, now we're going to create a object here, a sprite that we're going to then fling across the sky, and then you've got the student over here that's like, what's the sprite? Where do I got to click? What do I got to do? And those type of things are happening. So with it being flipped, everything works out perfectly because they just follow at their own pace. So without any embarrassment of having to redo something, so it works out really good. But let's get back into the badge program. Okay, so like I said, we have our student here that now is available to be in the badge program from whatever those criteria are. So the first thing that they go through is kind of like a filter. So we've got to decide which badges they can work on. And this filter really determines, are they going to have to work on the required badges, or can they work on some of the elective badges, okay? The required ones are things like all the important things that they need to get out of elementary school with. So they got to know how to type, they got to know how to use Word, they got to know how to use presentation skills, all those things that keep us from getting embarrassed in case we ever show our eyes in a middle school and they're like, yeah, thanks a lot, Mr. Flick, your kids know how to make movies, but they don't know how to use Microsoft Word. So the required ones are very important. The elective ones, of course, now these are fun over here, but the elective ones have more of the perception of fun because they're all the things like the podcasting, the filmmaking, all the great things like that. Video game design, all the really fun stuff are over on this side here. So if the filter works out, now there's a lot of different ways that this could work. You could maybe have an 80-20 rule like they have at Google, where 80% of the time you're always going to be working on required, but because they're being good kids, you'll let 20% of the time happen where they can work on electives. So if this was my class and they're coming to technology class, maybe 4 weeks we'll do required and then we'll do a day of electives or something like that. Yeah, but what we want to do is we want to get those requireds done so they want to get over to the electives. This is their motivation. Let's get that all done. And it's also great, so if a student is sitting there typing at 55 words a minute, why are we still keeping them in typing class? So if they've got that, pass it off. It's done. Now get over and do the other things you want to do. So that's really the essence behind that. But now let's go a little bit further into it. Last time we were together, I had 3 different levels to how the instruction or how a badge would go, and it would start off with the number 1 level was the apprentice level. I'm sorry, the novice level, and then it would move off to the apprentice level, and then the protege level. I've kind of gone away from that right now. So now I've decided to split it still into the 3 levels. But instead, we would have 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade badges, with everything being a prerequisite from the badge before. So if you look at something like, let's go with video work. Okay, so in 3rd grade, they would learn just the basics of video work. So they would just be getting down how to turn on the camera, how to get basic shots, how not to make ugly shots. those kind of things. So they're kind of covering the basics, what we were normally doing into the novice level. Then you build upon that. In 4th grade, they shoot like a documentary, just something really great. It replaces like a conventional report that they would normally do for their teachers. So that's really great there. And then in 5th grade is when you finally do the dramatic ones. So you get in there and they can now do a movie. That's what they've been itching to do all the time. So that's that motivation. And you see how you're building upon these prerequisite skills so that you can build something great. And what's nice about this, let's say you have a student that moves into 5th grade. Well, they can still go back and get this because it's a flipped classroom. They can go back and learn the lessons they need to do, and maybe you don't have to have them do a documentary, but at least get the basics down and then get over here to do the one here. Or maybe they have to step through all these things here. So that's what I'm saying, is that they would earn a badge for each level. So you got 3rd grade students that are getting all the basics done and they're earning their badge for that. And then you've got the 4th grade students getting all their stuff done, and then you got 5th grade students doing it. Because they're just from following me over just these last 2 parts that I've done. Things change. To develop this takes a lot of work and a lot of trial and error, and that's what I'm really seeing now. And one of the big things are resources. You've only got so much to go around, and so I've got 7 flip videos, and I've got only 7 digital cameras, and I've got a limited a number of iPads and microphones for my studios, all those things. So I'm really kind of looking at it. And the nice thing about having it flipped is I think it can be better for these resources, because if I wanted to teach an entire classroom of 28 students how to do podcasting, I would need a lot of microphones, or we'd need a lot of cameras and a lot of this. What's great about this is you can have that class of 28 and they can be all spread out. Some are going to be using flip cameras, some are using conventional cameras, some are using your iPads, some are using microphones. They're all spread out amongst my media center doing different things because they have different interests. Or maybe they really do want to get their filmmaking badge, but someone else beat them to it and already reserved the camera. So there's some really unique things that are going on that way. School has just started for me, so it's only 2 days old, so I'm just barely getting into all my classes. I got to do a lot of initial testing with my students and some instruction. So I'm not going to have some really feet on the ground with these badges for about another couple of weeks, but I'm going to keep you informed as we go through this. I've been working with a couple of 5th grade students to see how they're liking the idea, and so far they just love it. And I'm going to, I guess, keep you posted on how all these things look, just that I have right now. I'm not going to talk about the required. I'm going to talk about more of the electives. I've got a strand that's video that goes down through the 3 different levels. I've got an audio one that's fantastic, goes through the 3 levels. I've got a photography one that goes through the 3 levels. We've got a design, so they really learn how, the elements of great design. That works great for presentations and for building slides, all those things. I've got a lot more, but I'm just going to give you a start. That's where I'm going at, and you're going to see then these 1, 2, 3, these 3 levels of badges, which really are the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So they're coming along, and I'll keep you posted. So once again, this is Brad Flickinger with schooltechnology.org, and keeping you up to date with the things I'm doing in the crazy world of building Edtech badges for elementary students. Thank you very much.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.